If you're vibe coding, you need to keep organized. And Trello is the perfect tool for doing just that. I've spent years using Trello, and right now I'm using it for my vibe coding projects. And it's helping me take care of lots of different things. I'm going to show you exactly how you can set Trello up and what way you should use Trello to vibe code. So once you've opened up a Trello account, you're going to create a brand new board for your vibe coding. Simply select create, then create a new board. Now you're going to add a number of columns or lists. So here's my vibe coding board that I created earlier. The first board is called To Do. Some vibe coders will call this Inbox. And anytime you think of a feature that you want to add to your website or to your app, or anytime I come across a bug in something that I've built, I'll just simply add it as a brand new card to Trello. So in this case, this particular card says, investigate using plausible analytics for one of my sites. If you're not familiar with Plausible, it's basically an alternative to Google Analytics. And I thought it would be a good idea to put it on one of my vibe coding tools. I didn't have time to do it when I thought of this idea, so I simply added it as a new card. Now, if the idea has a few steps, I can easily create a checklist, and I can even give myself a due date, and I can even use custom labels. Sometimes I'll use labels for specific websites or for specific projects. And I can simply click on the pencil and number or change the name and color of each one of these labels. So usually in your to-do column, as a vibe coder or a coder, you're going to have lots of different cards that you want to work on. Obviously, you can't work on them all at once. So what I recommend you do is go through the to-do list a couple of times a week, and then you're going to drag a few things that you want to work on this week to next up. So as an example, one of my vibe coding projects has an issue with breadcrumbs. If you're not familiar with breadcrumbs, no, I'm not talking about the type that you find in your bread bin. I'm talking about site navigation. Basically, I got an email from Google saying that my site navigation was broken. So this is something that I need to work on because it's a critical fix for one of my vibe coding projects. Now, I'm not doing this today because I'm recording this video, so I have it in the next up column. But when I'm ready to work on this particular card, I'll simply drag it to doing. Sometimes I'll get some more information before working on a particular task, and I'll copy it directly onto the Trello board. So here's the email that I got from Google Search Console about the breadcrumbs issue on one of my vibe coding projects. So I'll simply copy the information from this particular email from Google and paste it into the Trello card so I can see everything when I want to work on this vibe coding project. Now once I've worked on a particular item in the doing list, I'll drag it to QA. QA basically stands for quality assurance. And this means that I need to actually check that the fix has worked. Because if you've been using AI for a while, you'll know that it's sometimes confidently wrong. So in this case, I'd need to fix the breadcrumbs issue with Google Search Console. Then I'd need to head over to Google Search Console for this particular site. And I'd need to select Validate Fix. And then it could take a few hours or a few days to get an email from Google before it's fixed. Another way that you may want to use your Trello board is to set up a column called Waiting For. So I've just abbreviated this to WF. So let's say I've actually fixed the breadcrumbs issue on my site and selected Validate Fix with Google. In this case, I'm simply going to drag the card to WF or Waiting For, and just under the activity section, I'll type in Validated with GSC. And now if I need to reference this in a few days, I can see the date and I can see the last thing that I did for this particular issue. And then when the issue is fixed, I'll just simply drag it to Done. And then once per week, I will just simply archive everything in this list. Now you'll also see that I have a column called SM. So what does SM stand for? Well, it basically stands for Someday Maybe. So these are things that maybe I have put in my to-do or my inbox list. And then I've said to myself, you know what, I'm not really sure if I want to do this, but I don't want to lose the idea. So in this case, here is one particular example. So I have an idea for building a website that would help creators remix and repurpose their content. I even purchased the domain for it. I do love buying domains. It was called contentremixer.com. And I wanted to scope out some developer requirements. So that should be PRD, not RFD, for contentremixer.com. But I haven't had time to do it, and I don't see myself doing this anytime over the next few weeks. So I've just simply dragged this idea to Someday Maybe, to the Someday Maybe list, so I can reference it later on if I have more time. The final item you may want to add is resources. So if, for example, you have proven AI prompts. Oh, by the way, I actually teach creators how to write prompts for AI over at promptwritingstudio.com. So please visit or please subscribe to my email list if you want help writing prompts for AI. I'll put some resources in the notes below this video. You can add your resources to the resources column. If you also have SOPs, if you have rules for Cursor or Windsurf or some other AI tools, you can put them here. Or if you just simply have examples that you want to include, then you can add them to the resources section as well. And you can, of course, customize the look and feel of your Trello board. So I've used a nice coding background. So you can select change background and search for photos or search for colors. Now, I tend to use one Trello board per project. So I think of vibe coding as an entire project, and then it has sub-projects within it. So the sub-projects will be the sites or tools that I'm building, whereas I'm vibe coding to improve my skills. I have another another Trello board for other parts of my business. For example, this YouTube channel and also my daily newsletter. But like I said, I like Trello because it's customizable and easy to use. And if I want, I can actually share this board with other team members. I haven't done this yet. So if you're collaborating with another, I suppose, a professional developer or designer, you could collaborate by sending them a link to the board, but then you potentially will have to pay a subscription. Trello also has some additional power-ups as well. You can connect it to your Google Drive, and you can even connect it to your GitHub account. But because I'm using Trello just for my own vibe coding, I haven't done this yet. But I have used these Trello power-ups for some of the other boards on my channel. If you want to see how I'm using these power-ups, do check out the other videos where I explain how I use Trello for managing a YouTube channel and also for my social media and for my content plans. I also like using Trello as well because I can upload attachments onto any of these Trello cards. So it's a great way of keeping things in one place. That's an overview of how I'm using Trello for vibe coding. I would finish by saying try and visualize all of your work in one place with your Trello board so you don't get overwhelmed by vibe coding, and try and limit the amount of things that you're working on at any one time. So you'll see I have lots of ideas in to do. I have 3 or 4 ideas in next up. And right now, because I'm not doing anything, I have nothing in doing. But when I am going to work on the breadcrumbs issue, which I'm going to do after recording this video, I'll simply drag it to doing and I'll just work on this particular task. And then when I'm done, I'll move it to QA or done. If you've got questions about using Trello for vibe coding, then check out the rest of my playlist and ask me in the comments section below.